Here is a perfect example of the second leg. This room now is a fact. We're all in the room. It's a fact. But suppose I don't want to be here. Suppose it becomes a prison to me. Can I get out of it if I know to penetrate the fact? If I know that I am the ark, that all things exist in the human imagination, and the human imagination and God are one. They are one, not two. I can, in my imagination, penetrate any wall. I can now, without batting an eye, in the twinkle of an eye, I can stand on the street and see this thing without a man standing before it. No problem whatsoever to assume I'm on the street and looking from the street to this platform. But you may say, well, what would that do? Well, let me do it and feel the reality, feel that solidity of the street under my foot and see this building from the street rather than looking to the street from here. If I do it and give it solidity, give it reality, I'll be compelled to go there. This is what Scripture teaches. That is my blessing. I can penetrate a fact. And penetrating a fact, I can stand wherever I want to stand in this world. Then the promise is made, wherever the sole of your foot shall stand, that I have given to you. I'm not going to make you a promise and not fulfill it. I've given to you if you can stand upon it. So I actually stood upon my apartment. I actually stood upon that floor. I felt the bed. I felt everything and gave it reality. My friend wouldn't allow himself to sleep in one place and assume that he was sleeping elsewhere, because that is a divided state of mind. He didn't want to become a split personality, and so he wanted to be completely coordinating. Well, he was coordinated, all right, for the next 3 years, all in one little spot in his barracks. And for 3 years he couldn't get out. Because, first of all, he wouldn't try it. Because I turned his daily bread into the substance of fairy. And so he did not answer my letter. I reminded him a few times since. Why didn't you answer the letter? Well, first of all, it didn't make sense. And I don't believe, said he, that really what you did was the sole cause of your discharge. You always question it. Then I repeat it another time and tell him again what happened this time. Well, that would have happened anyway. You do it a third time. You do it a fourth time. Do you know if you did it 1,000 times, he would still say, do it once more. It will always happen as far as they're concerned. It just didn't happen because you did something. These things would have happened anyway. So why do you analyze people then? Then let things happen. We are not the creatures of circumstances, said a man who bears your name, for his first name is Israel. And Disraeli's name is simply of Israel, Benjamin Disraeli. And he said, man is not the creature of circumstances. Circumstances are the creatures of men. He knew how to create things, all in his imagination. So I said, you bear the name of Israel, but you don't apply the story of Israel. If you only apply it, because these things are taught us in Scripture. Scripture is not secular history. This is contemporary. It didn't happen thousands of years ago. The flood is on. And this is the flood. The whole vast world is inundated with facts, like this prominent paper. It's the evening paper, the Examiner. And they're proud of the fact they only print facts. They don't embellish it. No frills, only the facts. Therefore, buy the facts. Well, I can buy the facts. And they go all over the world to find frightening facts. I'm not denying that he didn't kill her. I'm not denying that he did not receive a sentence of X number of years. But when people ask anything of me, I'm not concerned about why it happened. What do you want? And I will simply apply my imagination lovingly on behalf of that request. I don't care what brought you to that state. I am here to simply get you out of the state. What do you want? All through the Bible, what do you want? He didn't condemn anyone. The woman taken in adultery, he didn't condemn. What do you want? Go and sin no more. He didn't call the act of adultery a sin. If she called it, or they called it a sin, all right, call it a sin. Therefore, don't repeat it if you call it a sin. But sin is simply knowing what to do and not doing it. That's sinning. So if I discover what to do, to penetrate a fact, to go beyond the fact, and create a condition for myself and dwell in it, and think from it, instead of thinking of it. For the great fallacy of the world is perpetual construction, deferred occupancy. Create and create in my mind's eye all kinds of lovely things I would like to realize, but I never occupy them. I do not penetrate the state and go right into it and give it cubic reality. But I know, and you know, and it's not difficult to understand why. The sense of touch is something we believe in more profoundly than we do in, say, the sense of sight, or the sense of hearing, or the sense of smell. I stumbled upon this one day in a dream. In my dream, I came upon this huge big pillow, a pile driven into the ocean. And the bridge that it formerly supported was gone now. Only the piles remained. And I knew I was dreaming. And I figured to myself, if I held that pile and I could touch it, and if it seemed to me solidly real, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold on to that pile. In the dream, I know it's a dream, but I'm going to hold that pile as solidly as I can and compel myself to awake holding the pile. Well, I did. I held the pile with all of my might. And I said, now, Neville, you know you're sleeping. You know that you're dreaming now. Awake. And I awoke in the water. I'm actually holding that pile, and I'm standing up in what formerly I knew to be a dream. It ceased to be a dream. It's real. I'm in a world just as real as this. And here I am holding this enormous pile, and it's in the East Indies, not the West Indies where I was born. It was in the East Indies, a very primitive area. And then some animal came down to the beach, a strange-looking creature. And at that moment, I was panicky. And that moment of a shaking emotion, and I woke on my bed in New York City. But I discovered that secret of feeling. So he said, come close, come near, that I may feel you, my son. He heard the voice. He said, your voice is the voice of Jacob. Come near, let me see really if you are Esau. And he did it by feeling. And so, lying on my bed one night, right here in Beverly Hills, many years ago, it must have been 14 or 15 years ago, I suddenly became aware that I am seeing what I shouldn't see. I am looking into the most marvelous interior of a plush hotel. It seemed that way to me. And so consciousness followed vision, and I found myself in the room. But I knew I was on the bed, so I came back to the bed. I'm still seeing the interior of this room, and I went back into that room. I came back again. I must have done it 12 or 20 times. It was fun, going into the room, and the room was just like this, real. Then I came back to the bed. Now, I said, I am now going to explore. Regardless of consequences, I am going to explore. And so I went into the room. It seemed like a room 30 by 20 from the bed. When I entered it with the decision to explore, the room closed upon me and became a third of itself. Say it became 10 by 7. And I found it was a dressing room for a huge big suite, beautifully done, but it was